Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lauren Baker, and today we'll be going over Moore's Law. Before we go over Moore's Law, we should talk about the creator of Moore's Law, which is Gordon Moore, who happens to be the co-founder of Intel. A little bit of details about him is that he was born on January 3rd, 1929. In July 1968, he became the co-founder of NM Electronics, which would be the company that would later become Intel Corporation. However, 3 years earlier before that, he actually became the author of Moore's Law. What happens to be Moore's Law? Well, Moore's Law was a published article for the journal Electronics that Gordon Moore made in 1965. He discusses about the future of advancements of technology, the speeding of computing. He also wrote about how processing speed and efficiency would increase as the price of transistors and manufacturing for these parts would decrease. He observed an annual doubling in the number of chip elements called transistors every 18 months to 2 years. To my right, you can actually see the chart, the y-axis being the manufacturing cost of components, and you can see that they go down as the x-axis is the number of components per integrated circuit increase. And you see as time goes on, it's going to increase production-wise as the manufacturing costs and components of these parts decrease. Moore's Law also made a very good economic impact. A report made on May 11th, 2015 discusses that Moore's Law helped generate a minimum estimated 3 trillion in incremental GDP in the past 20 years. Moore highlighted the need to increase funding for STEM education as this went on, because he mentions how without these advancements like Moore's Law may have never even happened in the future. However, when will there ever be an end for Moore's Law? This was a very popular topic that happened around the early 2000s. As time went on, Intel chips got smaller, which started to actually rise up problems, which is kind of ironic because that was the whole point of Moore's Law, was that technology gets smaller, but it can also be more compactful and more useful for the average consumer. However, when Intel revealed the 90 nanometer chip pre-SCI, it was met with some criticism. It was slower than its predecessor, and it also generated more heat, which is sort of a fundamental problem, because as chips get smaller, it can heat up way easier. Even Moore was worried on how chips could get how possible it is for chips to get smaller, and that eventually would how that could eventually make companies hit a brick wall innovation wise. In an interview, when he was asked about the end of the Moore's Law and how he made this prediction, he has said, quote, and I quote, "So far we've been able to get around them, but I think another decade, a decade and a half or something will hit something that's fundamental." So pretty much just stating that any problems that we arise in the past, we pretty much went over. However, in the future, in a decade or even more than that, there may be a very high chance we could hit something that is fundamental that could prevent us from innovating our technology. And that is the words from Moore himself. This is my reference, and that was my presentation. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you.